I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You take roll, Mayor.
Nikki, Nickel,
Here.
Finley,
Here.
Getzinger,
Here.
Federick,
Here.
Swacky here.
Approval of our October 14th meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the October 14th minutes as presented.
Support. Are there any questions about the minutes? Motion to approve, or excuse me, vote to approve.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our October 22nd Election Commission meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve them as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, you got it, Mayor.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our minutes are a matter of record. Set and amend the agenda. I'd like to ask for the agenda to be approved as presented.
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have a agenda to work from. Bills?
I did have one bill to point out. I know Jim called me on it too. It's for the water bill. Someone evidently, some kids or something, turned the water on out there and the hose was running. And Larry called you, John, right?
Larry Sports called, and apparently we have a soaker hose, so whether it was kids or not, we don't know. The camera system was inoperable in the park, but apparently the soaker hose had sprung a leak in it and was leaking, and Larry called and said there's a lot of water coming out of here. And when we turned it off, we found out our bill was damn near $1,500.
Yeah, actually Becky called me and told me it was gonna be quite expensive, and it's $1728.47. So, and I turned off the supply downstairs.
Yeah, the
And
supply.
I called Dahlia's and Bobby didn't turn on the water either. He
Right,
turn
I
on the
didn't think it
hose.
was our.
So, just
our
wanna let
maintenance guys.
know what's going on.
Welcome to the village.
Did it get fixed?
Well, I turned the supply off downstairs so that they can't turn the spigot on out there.
Oh.
So,
Well, just for
Yeah.
future reference.
I think we'll have to have I don't know if the lock is broken out there.
Did,
Is
Is it one of the square
I
keys?
think so.
Yeah,
The monkey keys that they got,
Yep.
the little square ones?
yep.
just out of curiosity, did you ask if they credit sewer or anything because it didn't go in the sewer? They don't credit, or we didn't ask?
They don't, nope, man, I'll tell you, I've seen $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000 water bills coming out of some houses. You know, it's, even a $35,000 bill out of the school at one time.
Yeah, I just meant because it didn't go in the sewer. I didn't know if they credit the sewer portion of the bill versus not the water usage itself.
Yeah. I don't think they cut those, because then they'd have to, somebody has a leak in their yard.
I can ask. It won't
It
hurt.
was just a thought.
Yeah.
I never thought to ask because I don't get a water bill.
I just know that I've never seen them reduce anybody's water bill other than say you're gonna get a fine if you don't pay it.
If it's a runny toilet or something, then it went in the sewer, but if
Right,
it's
That's
yeah.
what you're saying.
hose, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the previously paid bills. Fire, $12,689.25. General, $4,871.49. Payroll, fire, $68,785.09. General, $25,203.21. Current open invoices, fire, $7,174.41. General, $20,827.39. Tax disbursements, $34,513.68. Trust and agency paid out, $6,415. Open, $535, for a total of $181,014.52.
I'll support that.
Getzinger?
Yes.
Swag, yes. Federick?
Yep,
Nickel?
Yes.
Finley?
Yes.
bills are paid. Under correspondence and information, there was an email received in planning on October 29th from Laura Hott, our engineer, or planner, excuse me, from McKenna. And she passed along a memorandum requesting that the township send a memorandum along with their findings to the attorney for their opinion. So I wanted to let the board know that I would be sending McKenna's memorandum to Chris Anderson for her legal opinion on what they think. The Gamston zoning implications is a draft, so that's gonna go to the attorney for their opinion.
For their opinion and what?
Gamston Right to Farm Act.
What is that for?
It's for Gamston Right to Farm Act.
Could you send me a copy of that?
Sure.
Ellen? Thanks.
First road, you guys doing this for?
From McKenna and the Planning Commission.
There was another correspondence from, October 19th that had to do with the Richmond Township. We got a letter from Richmond Township, October 15th, excuse me, that, about a bill that we sent for whatever happened with that.
Apparently, they've contacted an attorney, it's still an outstanding bill. We haven't got any, information or feedback from their attorney, it's still an outstanding bill.
Well,
So,
So what happened then? I mean, we're just gonna let them not pay it, or?
No, apparently, instead of paying the bill, they hired an attorney to litigate it, if you will, and we're still waiting for a response from their attorney. Chris Anderson hasn't heard their position from their attorney. Our board approved that at the last meeting.
so obviously this bill has to do with fire service. Do we,
Yeah.
if we're not getting paid or don't expect to get paid, do we have any policy discussions as far as mutual aid in Richmond Township? Because that's what this really
Well,
amounts
the
to.
policy discussions in mutual aid is set up by the Macomb County Fire Chiefs Association of Macomb County. That's not something the
So,
township.
I just mean, are we currently responding to calls to mutual aid calls in Richmond Township?
We're on Memphis's first responders list, first call list if needed, and they were made aware that if so, the township would be billed according to our hours.
Are we also on City of Richmond's response list?
That I don't know, because their fire chief has not contacted our chief proxy to this point.
Okay. I just mean, obviously, if we're billing them, they're not paying, does that impact our service over there? To me, that means we're gonna keep going and likely not be paid. It's a tough situation to be in, we
Well,
don't
no,
wanna
it's not-
deny
it's not a-
service.
It's not a not going and not getting paid, we're gonna go and we're gonna bill, and we're gonna believe that we're gonna get paid.
Gotcha.
They just don't believe they should.
So hopefully that gets resolved soon.
Are there any questions on that matter? Reports, our fire department. There were 107 EMS runs, 11 fire runs for a total of 118 runs. And I should start this by saying we're out on multiple calls tonight. Both our fire marshals and lieutenants are on the road. And Chief Grazi had several presentations tonight, along with our fire chief with our fire ordinance.
Fire
So
marshal.
I apologize for their absence, but they're doing what they're supposed to do tonight, and that's being ready for the public. So I will do the chief's report in his absence. We also had 1 aid given and 1 aid received. 33% of our calls were overlapping, which means while one run was going on, another run was called in while we were in action. Our EMS response times were 5 minutes and 15 seconds, and our fire response times were 5 minutes and 18 seconds. Turnout time was less than 2 minutes in both. The EMS was 1:28, and the fire was 1:46 out the door from the call, which is amazing. So, again, 118 total calls. They're up to it, especially in their current situation. We changed the format on our ordinance report. Listed below is 77955 Capac Road, Southside storage of building materials and shipping containers open. waiting for confirmation for a property inspection. That's from our attorney. 76-989 Coon Creek outside storage, closed that one. They did clean up the vehicles and things in the yard. 71-276 Coon Creek, fence was built outside of our zoning policies. We did revisit the site. The owner said he would put up a split rail, but he hasn't done that yet. He's been given a letter to do it within 30 days. 77-191 McFadden Road, vehicles visited site, multiple trucks and vehicles still on property. He has another 30-day, or a letter for 30 days removal or further action will be taken. 2360 unlicensed vehicles, closed, visited the site, owner's vehicles are in compliance. 7195 unlicensed vehicles, revisited site, brother's truck is still on the property. I sent him a letter to have it removed within 30 days. And the barking dog complaint, I visited the site on 3 separate occasions personally. I've never heard the dogs barking, and I don't have a barking dog ordinance. Planning Commission?
We did not have a meeting in October, however, we did, November. However, DJ did pass this along on Friday, October 23rd, that there was a meeting between the Macomb County Road Department, Armada Township, and Blake's Farms. Was there to help with the traffic issue on Center Road. In attendance was the supervisor, the clerk, the planning and zoning administrator, and planning chair, Blake Farms, Paul and Marty Blake, and Ray Gunn. Also in attendance was John Abraham, John Crum, and Eric DeMoff. I apologize if I screwed up that name, and Adam Merchant from the Road Commission. Ray Gunn explained that the works that Blakes have done up to this point, including on-site traffic studies, hiring a grant writer, using Macomb County sheriffs and valets for traffic control, etc. Paul Blake believes the traffic problem is a result of crossing pedestrians stopping traffic. They have 240 acres across the street to utilize and asked if a bridge or tunnel would be possible. The Road Commission said that most people will avoid a bridge and use road anyway. The Road Commission thinks that traffic is only a seasonal issue and there have only been 9 crashes in the last 4 to 5 years. The county has many other areas that need attention. Since this benefits landowner funding should come from the grants, landowner, and township. Blakes were disappointed by lack of county support, but the Road Commission stated how they are supporting the area with all the resurfacing that has been done. Blakes explained that they are growing into a more year-round business and said they have a lot of plans now that they are a certified GAMS farm. They also wanted to know if the county would be willing to assist in a federal level. Supervisor Patrick stated that Blakes is an asset to the entire county. The Road Commission asked if Blakes could give them a master plan and a traffic study they have. Also, they considered access on the K-Pac Road. Blake said everything is on the table, including 34 Mile Road. Blake said they will provide plans along with the drone footage showing traffic at peak times. The Road Commission stated they would like to review all the info with all the department heads and see what they come up with. No guarantee about anything since it is a rural area. The follow-up meeting has been scheduled for Friday, December 4th, DJ. And then there were some emails that went back. Our attorney, Chris Anderson, was asked to, I believe, provide a legal opinion to clarify what was going on with GAMPS. And Christine Anderson replied back, to clarify, the only work that I have performed on this issue has been related to Blake's. To date, my work has been limited to the necessary to answer questions and concerns raised by Supervisor Patrick and Christine White on behalf of the Planning Commission. My only effort to include other parties in addition to Supervisor Patrick and Christine White was the email sent to all board members regarding the legal opinion. Do not hesitate to call with any questions or concerns. I will be in the office all day.
Thanks.
I plan on having a meeting first week of December.
Our building department for the month of October issued permits for 1 pole barn, 1 additions miscellaneous, 2 homes, 1 pool, 7 electrical, 4 mechanical, and 3 plumbing for a total of 19 permits. There were also 42 building inspections completed. Macomb Ag PDR, we've got an agenda from the Macomb Ag PDR. Macomb Agricultural PDR Committee will meet Tuesday, October 27th, 2020. Or they did, must have,
Mhm.
being it's November. Well, this was their agenda from
That was from the 27th.
last month's meeting.
Mhm. And then Ken sent me the Northern Macomb County Townships applications for the PDR, and that's on the website, so if anyone's interested, I have the paperwork for them.
Parks and Recreation. 2 softball tournaments in October, scheduled Armada Junior Tigers practice and meetings. Take to maintain restrooms on Friday or as requested. Skate park trash. It's not been an issue in October. Park shut down and winterizing completed on 11/2/20. Last park report for 2020. Upgrades for 2020 still in process. All the door locks for restrooms, additional picnic tables to replace the wooden tables, replace park entrance with concrete. Thank you, Gary Goodell, our park director, and I'd also like to say that, thank you to Gary. He's done a wonderful job with our park all through his tenure.
If I may add, today, the contractor did finish pouring the concrete for that sidewalk that goes from Armada Center to the parking lot. And there intends to be in tomorrow to saw cut it and, put topsoil as far as starting the restoration, so.
Do you know
Cleaned
if
out
they,
the entire stretch?
All the concrete has been placed and
Okay.
poured.
do you know if
It
they
looks very
removed
good.
the branches from the Knobloch's property?
They already had done that,
They
yeah.
did, okay.
But I think the concrete itself looks very nice, and hopefully, once the restoration's done, it even better.
Thank you. There's no water and sewer update on Home Orchard Trail. I
No.
didn't see anything. Our senior center, report for October. October 2nd, we had a potluck with 10 people. October 9th, we had bingo with 10 people. I had to turn 5 people away. October 14th, lunch brunch met at Papoose in Richmond. We had 22. October 23rd, Frontier Town in Romeo. At lunch, we had 5. I decided to do 2 bingos and 2 potlucks a month to accommodate the amount of seniors that want to do these things. Trying to keep our seniors busy, so we will start crafts once a month, knitting and maybe chair exercises this November, 10 only, and social distancing. Thank you, Donna. Treasurer's report?
I provided for you the balance sheet that is reconciled to all of the bank statements. So you can see that they match, and then if you go through each account, you can see that that's our balances on these accounts. Also, the taxes are going out December 1st, and we're gonna change things up a little bit, and we're gonna be collecting taxes from 9 to 2 in the office because of the situation here, with nobody coming in. We have nobody coming in to pay taxes, and there's nothing happening here. I've got Becky down to bare bones. She's in maybe 7 hours a week. So, we're just gonna cut down the hours. We've got excellent places, the bank, we've got a drop box on the office, on the outside, the bank, paying online and through the mail, so we've got, people are utilizing that much better. So we're gonna cut down the office hours and save a little bit of cash that way because it's just unnecessary.
Are you still able to send that flyer?
I am going to work with them, yes.
Awesome, thank you.
Internet Subcommittee report.
Alright, thanks. I emailed this to Mary and John, and I actually brought it with me tonight. The last meeting we had on November 2nd, we had just found out that the CMIC came out with a 2.0 grant that morning, and so I looked at it before the meeting began to see if we would even be eligible for it, since we just were awarded the 1.0 grant. It appeared that we would be eligible. So the 3 of us went through everything and just kind of, confirmed that we were all reading it correctly and everything, and looking stuff up. So we do believe that we would be eligible for it if in fact Comcast would like to, or, it's up to them if they're, but we also asked the board to give us permission to be the contact people with Comcast so that we can be the contact person for the current grant, as well as contact them and ask them if we could be applying for the 2.0. The more grants we receive, if we can, the better served the township will be.
Yeah, more coverage there, sure.
So that was, the extent of the meeting. We were there for a while, but, we covered a lot of information and made
It's
sure that,
limited to, application time by January 1st, if I'm not mistaken.
January 4th.
4th, okay.
So time was critical, and that's why I asked, for, it to be placed on the agenda, because we want to get in contact with Comcast right away and hopefully start the process.
Yes, Mayor got a
I
resolution
got that
prepared,
agenda,
so you
yeah.
can
Yes.
move forward if the board so chooses.
So, and that's where we're at. And the reason we asked for the one contact is because I know in the business world, program managers do not like to hear from multiple people. And so this way, if we are the contact person or persons, then we don't have a bunch of people calling and potentially, it does annoy program managers, and we want to be helpful and work together nicely, so,
I appreciate that a ton, and thank you for catching that.
okay,
That we'd be possibly available for another grant, that would be huge.
yeah, thank you.
I'll make a motion to receive and file reports.
Second? All in favor?
I have.
Our report's part of the record. There's no unfinished business. Adoption of a planning commission liaison, or the appointment of a planning commission liaison. My thought was to make a motion to approve Sarah Murray as the planning commission liaison for her term expiring in 2024.
As a planning commission member, I think we need someone that can read blueprints, that has a little bit of knowledge about doing stuff like the planning commission does.
I appreciate your input, Randy, but I believe that's the planning commission's job. The liaison's job is to report back to the board.
But I could give you my reasoning why I think,
I appreciate that.
so I think Jim should actually be the.
Oh, thank you very much. I've made my recommendation for an appointment. Is there support?
I'll support that.
Thank you. Now, is there debate on the board?
I do want to comment. I appreciate Randy saying that, and certainly I am interested in being in that position. I feel that I'm qualified and would fill that well. But, I've certainly put a lot of thought into this. To me, a big thing on this board is trying to work as a team and not cause a lot of strife. And the supervisor does have the authority to appoint, and he didn't ask me, so it's not like he asked me and I turned down the offer, but I don't know Sarah that well. But I right now, I personally don't have any reason to believe that she wouldn't do a good job. So as much as I'm interested in filling this role, all I can do is offer, and that happens all the time in life. I can only offer to help. If they don't want to take my offer for help, well, that's just the way life is. So when I break it down, I certainly was frustrated, or I'll say I'm frustrated even now to some extent, that I feel this is another time where the supervisor, at least in my opinion, seems to, unfairly, I'll say, sidestep my consideration. This happens a few times, but again, that's politics. Politics is just that. You can't always, even if I think something's the best approach, doesn't mean it is.
Is
It
there
certainly
a
doesn't
reason
mean
that
that.
you would think that Sarah would be disqualified from the
No,
position?
I actually,
In case of the rest of this is politics.
that's what I just said, actually.
Okay.
So I just wanted to, be clear that I am interested. If Sarah ever decides to step down, I wanted to make sure the supervisor knows that I'm interested. And I don't want to start off my, obviously the supervisor and I don't seem to get along, it's clear, but I don't want to start off my relationship with Sarah as being a tension there. And if she's interested in doing that position, and I personally don't have any reason to believe that she won't do a good job, only time will tell. And again, I appreciate Randy's comments, but I do think that even if you look at the math, this month, the way I envision the board will vote, even if Sarah isn't appointed, quite frankly, next month, if it comes up again, most likely she will be appointed. So what's the point of the drama part of it? So I just wanted to give my 2 cents. I don't want to be in the middle of the tension when, again, a big part of me being on the board is trying to get the board to work together, and I don't think that me fighting to be in that position is going to help the board as a
I
whole.
was just
So.
looking at your credentials.
Yeah, and I
Credentials,
appreciate that.
something you should have. You know how to read a blueprint?
Thank you. There's been a motion and a
Yeah, thank
second
you.
and debate.
Well, I would, go a little bit further to, again, to just speak based upon credentials. I'm not fully aware of Sarah's, full background. She's got a lot going on as an incoming trustee, as well as she's working on a very important project as the internet subcommittee. But I will say, one striking issue that stands out is that, Jim, and it always typically has been a trustee that's filled that position, am I correct? Or-
Well, I was on the planning commission
As clerk?
as clerk,
Okay.
yes,
For the most part, though, it's been a trustee.
trustee.
But Jim's a civil engineer, and being on the planning commission that I've sat there for the last 2 years, it's filled with a very large group of people that have a little bit of construction experience, a lot of construction experience, communicating with people in the public. I think as 7 board members, you're trying to fill it so that it's well-rounded, that it isn't just one-sided for people that, I guess when you're taken out of the context of having someone that's got this expertise level there, I think Jim would be a very valuable, not that Sarah wouldn't be, but I think Jim would just give the planning commission that much more to be able to work with based upon his expertise on what you're dealing with sewer and water, whether you're dealing with building, whether you're dealing with commercial projects. There's a lot that a civil engineer brings to the table that a lot of people probably aren't aware of.
I believe, Sarah Murray, you stepped up. You'd like to say something in your defense?
I would, and I appreciate everyone's concerns. I do know how to read a blueprint. I've been in business, my husband's been in business, we are manufacturers, so I can read vehicle blueprints as well as commercial and homes. I've built 3 homes. I have been on the Board of Education for 8.5 years. I've been a certified board member at the 3rd level. I have been on and served on building and grounds subcommittee meetings as a liaison, and I've served on an HR subcommittee. I've served on curriculum. I've served on finance. So I do have the credentials. And if there is ever a time that maybe something comes up or something that I can't, I also fully believe that an alternate should be. So, or whoever is appointed, then an alternate should be named to help cover because, people always can't be everywhere and things do come up in life. So that's just my 2 cents, but I am qualified. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nichols?
No.
Solaki, yes. Finley?
No,
Nick Getzinger?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes. Welcome aboard, Sarah. Thank you. Fire Department, Prevention and Protection Ordinance. Fire Marshal Canal, again, couldn't make it tonight. Well, looks like the chief decided to leave the place unattended, or did somebody come back?
Kevin is on his way. He's 32 Mount Roman Plank. If we could skip to the
Why
next.
don't we go ahead to the Fire Department's Lucas device, and I will await Kevin's arrival, provided we don't get another call.
Do you want me to sneak my report into?
I already did.
Oh, awesome. That's even better.
Although I don't think anybody talked about that wonderful fire that they took care of.
Which one?
The very large one over on.
The
True Road?
over on True Road, yeah.
Yes, we had a fire on True Road. It was pretty tragic. It was a very large barn fire. It was a gathering area. There was a lot of sentimental value involved in it. The fire was, due to the construction of the building, stopping the fire was near impossible. They made a very aggressive attack. In fact, one of the guys got blown down the stairs when it flashed on him. He's okay. The whole second floor was a loss. It does look like there was something that wasn't followed in the code in some of the new construction that was going on. It was not the builder, it was a subcontractor, and everything kind of points to that being the cause of the fire.
Thank you, Chief.
The Lucas device. So under the CARES Act, we were provided money through the county, and that totaled about $52,000. About 3 days before our report was due, our final report was due, our account manager gave me a call and said, hey, you have $9,000 in unused funds. If you don't use it, it just gets distributed to the other departments around. So I spoke with some of the officers, and one of the things we decided we really needed was another CPR machine. So what a Lucas device is, it's a device that's strapped to a patient who's in cardiac arrest, and it provides continuous, nonstop, high-quality CPR. Very phenomenal device. Due to positioning and everything, it's best to have a machine do it as opposed to a human. The other thing, it's very safe. It stays in the patient. We're not reaching over each other when we're transporting the patient to the hospital. We're not standing up in the back of the ambulance doing it, and they have tremendous rates of return with this device. So currently we have 2 of them. One is very old and at the point it needs to be replaced, so we're requesting to get this. So one of the problems is they're $15,000. All we had left was $9,000. So I worked with the village. They also got CARES Act money of $19,000, but they do not plan on using any of it. So I worked with the clerk of the village and the gentleman who's taking care of our account, and asked him, hey, we provide the service for them. Is there any way we can have this money? And basically the answer is he can't give his final answer until we put our submission in, but he said, I don't have the ability to tell you no. So it sounds like, getting this money is going to be kind of a slam dunk. So what we're bringing in front of you today is to purchase a Lucas device. It is a sole source. The only person we can buy it from, the only company is Stryker, which is the manufacturer of that. The total amount on it is $15,149.36. Any questions?
And even if they were to say no, a $6,000 investment on a $15,000 piece of equipment like that is
Yes.
still a
And
good,
he made
a
it
nice
very
brand.
clear to me, he doesn't know how he could say no.
Right.
So,
I'll make the motion to purchase a Lucas device with accessories from Stryker, a source provider, in the amount of $15,149.36 from line item 206-336-751.
Support that.
Nichol?
Yes.
Swack, yes. Finley?
Yes.
Getzinger?
Yes.
Herrick?
Certainly, thank you.
Amazing how there's only one supplier.
yeah, they're the manufacturer and the only one who can buy
No, you
it.
know what I mean? Like,
The specialty
somebody else
device,
hasn't
though.
jumped in to try to, help with the market or to do something.
Tanker pumper purchase, here we go.
Tanker pumper purchase. So this whole process started about a month after I started on the job. These are just copies of the specs. So one of the things when I came in, I sat with the officers and we basically said, what's our needs? And one of the biggest needs that came up is our pumper that we currently have. It's a 1998. It carries 2,000 gallons of water, but it's very limited on its pump capacity, which is only 250 gallons per minute. And the way we operate today, it's completely insufficient. We need a minimum of 1,000 gallons, preferably 1,500 gallons, because that truck pumps to the truck in front of the house. So 250 gallons a minute is very limited. And the fact that the vehicle's older, has absolutely no storage in it, it has an aftermarket pump on it. So we met with a manufacturer back in late September and came up with some specs. And then me and Fire Marshal Cannell sat down and drafted a grant, Assistance to Firefighter grant. And we were awarded in August. So again, we sat down as a committee with all the officers, myself and Matt Hanna, who's one of our new hires but has extensive experience with designing and building trucks, and really honed what we wanted down, and then we put it out to bid. So it went out on BidNet. It was out there for a month. We had 10 manufacturers that downloaded it, and we ended up having 2 manufacturers that bid on it. One was Rosenbauer, which was the one that we spec'd the truck out with, and the second one was Pierce. In looking at the 2 designs, Rosenbauer was clearly the better of the 2 based on some of the specs we had in place. The size, the thickness of the doors, the electronics on it, the storage ability, superior suspension. Pierce only did a 1,250 gallon pump. The spec was 1,500 gallons. They met that one as well. So the board met and unanimously decided, the Rosenbauer was definitely the one we wanted to go with. And then we have in front of you today what we're requesting to purchase, which is the Rosenbauer. Originally, I gave, what got posted online was incorrect. Somehow the math was incorrect, and our match is actually not $197,000, but it's $180,000. Any questions on the vehicle?
basically the lower cost vehicle actually outperformed in terms of specs based upon what you guys were looking for.
It really did. One of the things with Pierce is they make frames certain sizes, and then they have to make it work. Where Rosenbauer, you tell them the frame they want, so they can really customize it, so there's less engineering to be done.
Sure.
Rosenbauer is number 2 in the country, number 1 in the world. Pierce is number 1 in the country. They're both phenomenal vehicles, just the Rosenbauer definitely fits our needs better. There were several other manufacturers that did not bid on including the current vehicles we carry.
And then just to reiterate, the significant portion of this is is covered through a grant.
Yes, $428,000 is coming from the federal government. $180,000 is coming from Armada. This puts us way ahead financially. This was something that was budgeted in the next year or 2 to purchase, and obviously, it saves us
Well, definitely the
$428,000.
next piece of equipment on the list to go.
And it will be, it'll be one of the most valuable pieces of equipment we have, because not only will it be a tanker, but it'll also perform just as our fire trucks do in pumping abilities.
Will it have the capacity for ALS equipment?
It'll be tight. Its potential, if anything, it'll probably have to be stored behind it. It's only a 2-seater, so behind there's a cross-through. It would be very difficult, but there is potential.
Okay.
I think it would be extremely hard to justify spending almost $88,000 more based upon what you're presenting here. I don't see where, I know we're not in debate, but I'm just saying.
Yeah,
it
and we
just
did look
seems-
at it, because when it came in that much more, I'm like, okay, is it more because it's worth it?
Sure.
And we really broke it down, and it's not. I mean, the design is not, doesn't have the same foam pump. The pump on the truck is smaller, less storage. The electronics are inferior. The suspension is inferior. The Pierce is narrower. A tall truck like that, a little
Yep,
bigger
so you're gonna
footprint.
feel-
Gives you, so I mean, it really is. It's a better truck and less expensive, which makes the decision easy.
All right, I'll make the motion to award the competitively bid project of the tanker pumper to Rosenbauer with a prepayment of $287,894 and a total purchase price of $609,322.
I'll support that.
Finley?
Yes.
Swayek, yes. Nickel?
Yes.
Getzner?
Yes.
Hitter?
Yes.
But I do have a question on that. With this, are you gonna be taking this amount of money, since you're going to be bringing in grants and out grants, are you gonna be taking that balance out of capital outlay?
Of that $30,000, I was hoping to take from capital outlay based on what we have left for the year. We do have a sale of a property coming up, and net assets of that, and then the rest of the balance would be out of reserves.
Because our capital outlay, in order to do that, in order to make that kind of a payment, you can't do it with, we've got already 278% over. So, will we be making these budget amendments before we make this check out?
Yes,
Well, we're doing that this month, right?
yes, ma'am. I would request that we did know, the details.
Should we be making these budget amendments now then, Mary?
We should do it before we write the check.
Okay, then I will make a motion to budget, to amend the budget, adding $476,350 to line item 206-336-690.000 R&R loan. And that will bring up your other revenue line. And then $476,350 to line 206-336-970.000 capital outlay to offset the original fire truck, and then go $35,000 to line 206-336-970.000 capital outlay, and that will bring your 278% down, so that you will have enough money to write this check.
Okay, support that. Nickel?
Yes.
Hitter?
Yes.
Getzner?
Yes.
Finley?
Yes.
Swayek, yes.
Should we move the chair? Should we do this one next for time, or just let it ride?
No, we're gonna actually call Fire Marshal Canala. We did put the fire ordinance convention on the site. And I know you're busy, so if you can take care of it now, you can get back to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes sense.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. I know there's a letter sent to you guys explaining the fire prevention ordinance. I believe 2006 is the current edition that we have adopted for the fire code. Every 3 years, the fire code comes out with a new edition. That'd be the same as probably your building and plumbing and all those different types of codes. So I'd recommend we try to visit it probably every other cycle at least. To get up to date, probably in this ordinance is to adopt the 2018 fire prevention ordinance. Having it in an ordinance allows us to be able to revisit it if we need to update that and put specific things for Armada Township. The ordinance provides us to make things a little more specific as far as what the penalty would be if someone would be to disobey an order for the fire code. There's different things that would be in here that would be specific to Armada Township, such as requiring a Knox box on commercial businesses. You know, how the connection is if we have to put fire hose into the building to support their fire suppression system. It allows us, I mean, we already have 2006 fire code, but with adopting this, I'll be able to provide a little more detail to the planning commission as far as plan reviews, when it should be conducted. I believe we should have a little more detailed requirements as far as what needs to be turned in for a plan review. Just that we could do it to make sure that's safe for the occupants and the public. And there's just a lot of different things that could be done to prevent future problems if we do a good plan review process. Not necessarily addressed in the ordinance, but it'll be in the fire code, and then I could provide more specific things in writing once adopted. The other thing is, when I originally wrote it, I worked with Christine Anderson. We had special events addressed. It's already in the fire code to require a permit. She recommended that we actually take out what I had in there for special events and make a separate ordinance for the township. I really recommend that we work with her to do that because there should be some sort of oversight. So for instance, with the fair, we work with them. There's certain things that we require. Because if you don't have that oversight, any business could technically say, okay, we're just going to hold a special event. Well, what does that entail? Now, are they going to put tents and stuff that block the fire lane? They should be submitting a plan that we could look at that, how it's going to affect traffic, that type of stuff. As far as, okay, if this is a special event above and beyond, maybe we want you to require law enforcement there for traffic control, that type of stuff. But that's separate now. She said that we should work with the township for a separate special events ordinance. So that's not in here at the moment. And then the only other thing that we might have to address is have a board in case there's an appeal process. So we might have to, that might go to the planning commission. I don't know how we want to address that. A lot of times there's like a construction or a building board of appeals. Generally the code though requires quite a bit of requirements as far as who they want on that board. So we have the ability that we can come in and have our own board in place that might not be that detailed, but we should have a appeals process board in place. So if someone's going to...
I think the appeals process board would be no different than our zoning board of appeals.
And we could use that. We just have to
Right.
specify that if in the event someone wants to appeal, that would go to that board.
It would need to go, right, even if it was a fire ordinance
Right.
variation, it would be set up through the township and run like the zoning board of appeals.
Right, and this, as long as we set that's going to be the board of appeals, that's all we have to set.
Okay.
And those two things are separate of this ordinance. So, and again, have the ordinance in place just gives us something in writing that we have now, and then if we need to update it in the future, we can. And as far as 2006, I would recommend we try to, every year we get a list of what the new code's going to be. 2021 is technically the new fire code, but at least maybe try to, every other cycle, try to update it to stay current. Like in this code, I don't have it with me, it's at the station, but as far as what the updates are from 2015 to 2018, but as technology changes, sometimes incidents occur, they address that every 3 years in the code. A lot of times now they have the igloos for the outdoor events, that might be in future code. So it's just something that we should keep up with the codes as they change, as technology changes and new designs and construction changes. But we can do that with the
Especially
ordinance.
all the COVID stuff going on now, people are doing a lot of creative things.
Yeah, and like some of the new things that are addressed, lockdown drills, stuff like that now with the active shooters, and then food trucks are addressed. Those are just some of the things that are new, and then like I said, as the technology changes, and unfortunately bad incidents happen, they review those incidents and sometimes make recommendations, they change in the code. So like I said, we should probably try to update that at least every other cycle, but every 3 years is usually when they update it. So this will just get us current, and then we could go from there. And then when 2021 comes out, I'll review it and see if we really need to update it then, or we could wait till the next cycle.
Well, I know you've done an awful lot of work on this, and I think more than anything that I noticed by reading through it is it gives you so much more authority.
Right, and again, it's not to, we support our businesses, we just want to make sure that it's going to be safe for the occupants and of course us. We know, the primary goal of probably business owners is to make money, but we just want to make sure there's some oversight in there. We're not trying to, handcuff them as far as making money. We just want to make sure it's safe and applies by the code and it's done right. And it gives us the ability to review it. Like I said, we'll be able to I can sit down with the planning commission, make sure we have a list of, as far as a plan review of what should be required to submit as far as documents, so we know we could really look at it, make sure, really think, what is the impact gonna be? And then we can address it there before it gets to build or becomes an issue later on where we might have less of a ability to address it.
It allows us to be consistent.
Right, and that's the big thing, is being consistent and fair,
Mhm.
but, so.
Hey Kevin, under exhibits, crafts, and trade shows, it says an operational permit is required. Is Christine gonna draft one of those and you issue that?
So it could be a process where we do it at the fire department,
Okay,
and that's what we'll talk about, because so the code has a lot of different things that require a permit.
Would be like a fire permit? a
Yeah,
burn
we
permit?
could do it that way. I would highly recommend, like I said, we sit down and make a special event ordinance for the township, and then that allows us to require a review of that. For instance, like, okay, if you're gonna have an outdoor event, we wanna review, what are you doing? So if someone's gonna turn their parking lot into, you know, an exhibition show for art or whatever the case may be, we can make sure they're not blocking fire lanes. Or is there still enough parking? The parking probably more of a, if the township wants to address a review. But our end's more fire safety. On the township end, they might want to review, and you guys might want to decide, okay, how is this affecting traffic? What requirements do we want? Is there enough bathrooms, for example, to, you know, for the amount of people that are going to show up? And really, it's just making sure it's a safe event, so.
And does that does cover events in the village?
So I wasn't able to necessarily get a clear answer on that. Our plan, I believe, like the chief, is to meet with the village and hopefully get on the same page since we are the fire department. And hopefully we'll just, because we are the fire department, hopefully use this ordinance. I'm assuming if it's like, for instance, they're made a fair, they're gonna go through their own process for special events, but like I said, the fire code will give us the ability to still review it on our end. It being the fire department. I don't know the legality behind that, because we're still in the township, but it's the village. It's just.
I was under the impression that the fire was the ultimate authority.
Yeah, and absolutely, and then Public Act 207 in 1941, State of Michigan, so we technically have that authority backing us as well. And then as the authority having jurisdiction in the village, I don't think they should have a problem with us adopting the same code as this is what we'll enforce as far as fire prevention goes.
Especially since we're dealing with senior citizens.
Yeah, and I would like to definitely meet with them, make sure their plan review process we get, because really the plan review comes down to, even if someone buys a commercial building, we should still be involved, because if they change the use of that, it could change the entire code.
Yep.
And I know there's some things when you go around that, I know we weren't involved in plan review, this was a while ago, but there's some probably things from a fire safety standpoint we probably would have required or asked to be done differently. But that's just to make sure that they understand when the plan review should be done. So, like I said, because you could take a building and then change an owner, and it could be a different use, or there might be something that, there might be a variance or an understanding that they don't have to address it, but once you change ownership, we might require them to do that. For instance, like the gas station now, we're big on having a suppression system. I don't believe the one in town necessarily has one at the pumps. So if that changed ownership, you might say, well, in order to reopen that business, now that you're under new ownership, we want you to install the suppression system. So
Okay.
those are things that we should just be involved in the plan review, that's not always done. But that'll be addressed in the code, so.
so the village does have like a special events application, or
And I'm
I
not
think
sure
that-
about the village.
would
but
you
I
have to tweak theirs, or,
They
I mean?
do in
right?
the downtown area.
Yeah.
Downtown, okay.
And for us, the only thing we would probably require is, again, we have the ability now with this to also say, okay, we don't have a full permit process in place, so we're not gonna issue a permit, but what we want is to at least do a review. So on the fire safety end, we wanna at least do a review on that aspect. From the township, you might wanna have an ability to say, okay, instead of saying, well, sure, you go ahead and have your special event, you probably wanna review, okay, what's your plan, what are you setting up, what are you changing as far as the use, how's this gonna affect?
Or if they're gonna have a
Traffic.
special event, we can say, just come back
Right.
with your permit from the fire department. So
Right.
they've checked everything and.
Yeah, and we just wanna be on the same page. It's not to permit anyone from having a special event, we just wanna make sure it's done right.
Right.
So for everyone's safety, and so it doesn't affect, so we can make sure the township's taken care of, and from a legality standpoint, it's more of a risk management, so.
Well, with that, I'll make a motion then to formally adopt the Armada Township Fire Prevention and Protection Plan, ordinance number R2020-26.
I'll second it.
Sorry, if I may, I think this looks great. I just had a few questions. So
Yep.
regarding that permits, would your intent be to eventually or in the future maybe remove this section if you have a special event ordinance? Is that
So
what you, if I understood you?
Yeah, I saw that in there. I think that what that is doing is basically in the fire code, it's adding to make sure what's considered a special event. So I believe that we probably could, or it's really not gonna change it one way or the other. I think if the township, I really believe the township should put in a special events ordinance of their own to basically make sure that if someone's gonna hold a special event,
Oh, okay.
there probably should be a process where they come to the board, I don't know if that'd go to the planning commission, but at least submit something of what are they doing? How many people do they expect? How are you gonna take care of, additional parking or traffic? You're not gonna, making sure they're not gonna set up tents that might block the fire lane. And tents that are certain sizes need a secondary permit as well. So basically in the fire code, and there's a whole section of what requires a permit. And not every township or municipality is actually gonna have a permit for that. So what it does also, it offers the ability to either waive that they would need a permit, but at the very least, they come to us and we can say, okay, we don't have a permit process for this specific thing, but we're gonna basically make sure that you're gonna do it right, and then we'll sign you off on that.
Got it.
And again, in certain permit areas, as the township grows, you may be able to be more detailed in that permit area and have a permit process, which we could either issue at the fire department or the township, and then we would be part of the review. A special event, I would highly recommend that goes to the township, with the fire safety review coming to us, because a special event could be as a small art show to a big fair, you just don't know. So,
Now, because we say that, they have different horse shows and functions at the fairground.
right.
Are those considered special events?
And that's something that, again, that comes in play with the village and the township, but that's something we could sit down and decide with legal what you want to do with that. That's where it's a gray area, because technically the fairgrounds is,
An event center?
it's an event center. So, like for instance, when you go down to like Joe Louis Arena or the Little Caesars Arena now, they're not getting a permit every time they have a hockey game. So there's just an understanding, because it's a center, but I think it would be a little different here when they're holding a large fair, but that's just something we have to determine and spell out, I think, in the ordinance why it's important, because there is so many different variances. So, because I know there's other businesses that their just normal season provides a lot of people that come on in. And that's something in the initial plan review we may be able to address, or through a plan review process. I might not, like for instance, if a business is coming in, I might not do it on a fire safety end, but you might want to have a traffic engineering study done, that type of thing, before the buildings, just that type of stuff to say,
But if
okay, well, we want a
because
second
I guess
second
my
driveway,
question-
or,
My question comes in too, because I know a lot of people that have single and double graduation parties.
Right.
at the fairground.
and those are things that you might say, well, that's an understanding. I had the writing, I don't have it here, but it was in the other ordinance I sent over to Chrissy, and that's when she said, take that out and have the township draft one, but I believe I had one in there that addressed that for centers that were already set up for that. So
Right.
there's a way to word it in there, so whether it's
Okay.
going by a number of people or that type of thing, that you could say that that's just part of their normal business. So if like a graduation party would probably fall under, well, that's their normal operating business. Obviously, we would still make sure we do our annual inspection at that facility to make sure they got the extinguishers and exiting if they're gonna hold it in the barn.
Yep.
So,
All right.
Sorry, and only one more question then. On those Knox boxes,
yes.
just thinking from a cost perspective, so could you clarify what existing buildings would we require certain businesses to purchase that now if they're already in business?
We just have to be consistent on that. So we could sit down as a team and decide what we want to do on that. Right now, my intention is new businesses that come on in, or a change in ownership. The Knox box is good because basically our key will open up any Knox box in the township, which then we could open up the door to the business. So we don't have to break into the building if maybe someone says there's smoke in the building or there's a fire alarm going off. We want to get in and check the building, but we might not have to break the door in.
Sure.
Didn't we used to give you guys keys to hang on the wall?
Yeah, that's what's happened is a lot of businesses wanted to hang keys on the wall, and we just can't keep track of so many different keys, and we wouldn't want to have that liability. The
I
Knox box
remember when they
gives.
set that couch on fire behind my shop, they almost went through my building.
Yeah,
to get
yeah,
behind
and
my shop.
we could sit down and definitely decide how we want to approach that. I believe I read through the village's ordinance, I believe it had in there they wanted it to be retroactive for current businesses, but we could decide because it's kind of it's an expense, because they're gonna have to buy it. I don't know the cost off the top of my head. But I know that they would have to then install it. So definitely all new construction, yes, they'll have a Knox box. That'll be part of the plan review. And probably as businesses change ownership, as far as going to businesses now, and we'll still recommend it, but I don't know that we want to, add that cost to a business, especially right now.
Sure.
Times are tough financially, but we could, the code allows us to make those variances and make those decisions as a municipality, as long as we're consistent. So we're not going to go to one business and say, you have to install a Knox box and let another business go. We just got to make sure we're consistent.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Finley,
Yes.
Getzinger,
Yes.
Nickel,
Yes.
Swag, yes, Bitter.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you again, Kevin.
And thanks everyone that wished me well. I didn't get back to you. I was just feeling a little under the weather, so tired. So thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was checking on you, I didn't.
Yeah, I got the email, yes, I apologize, and I know Camille and Mary, you guys said some stuff, so I appreciate it, I just didn't have time to get back, I was resting, so.
All right, thank you very much, Kevin. Okay, resolution number 2020-20, granting the Internet Subcommittee authority to begin application process for the CMIC, which is the Connecting Michigan
Right.
Grant
Right.
2.0.
Right, and this, like Sarah said, this is being written so that Comcast can apply for the grant for us, and also for them to communicate with Comcast, the subcommittee, authorize them. So there's, like she said, there's not that many people calling them and asking the same questions. So I had Christine Anderson draft, the resolution. So I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2020-20 as presented.
Support. I think it needs to be clear too to the board that this does need to be turned in by February 5th it was.
January
So January 4th.
4th, yeah.
So it is something we want to get them working on right
Oh,
away.
definitely, yep.
And so, just to clarify, and I'm gonna talk with Sarah earlier, but Comcast submitted the last grant. They asked us for letters of support, but it wasn't something that we had to review, or there was no cost to the township. We believe the same is true here, so it's not like, we're giving authority to prepare an application and not have any review by the board, or have some sort of obligation of cost by the board, so I just wanted to be clear, that's not, exactly what we're giving them
Well,
authority to
actually-
talk, so that they can continue this process and get it done on time and not have to report back or have a lot of lost time. We
Back
meet
and
once
forth.
a month, so it'd be very hard if we didn't.
I see this as an authority to tell Comcast to move forward on Armada Township's behalf, which
Right.
means there would be a cost if we were granted the grant.
Right.
Yes,
because there
yes,
is a
there is.
cost associated
With the first one.
grant.
Right.
Right.
There is a small, percentage that the township is liable for, and that was written and spelled out right in.
Okay, I apologize.
So, yeah, we're giving them
Do we,
authority to
do we know
pursue
what that cost would be to it?
Yes. For the 1.0 grant, it's
$90,000.
$90,000. And we'd have to go through the application process, and you actually talk to Comcast to see if they would be
Sure.
interested in even awarding it to us again, since we just got awarded the first one. And if, so at that point, then we find out what the cost would be, but yes, I'm.
And I think
totally
considering it
sure.
was a $3.3 million grant, it cost us $90 grand, whatever you get, it's gonna be worth paying for it.
Oh, absolutely.
So are we approving this with the $90,000?
No, we're approving them to proceed with the
The
2.0
second, right.
grant, however much the Comcast can win a grant for, we'll be obligated to a portion of that.
Do we want to list a percentage then?
So
of
that's
what-
what I'm asking then. So,
In the application process for the 1.0, it's spelled out right in that application process before you guys signed off on it, that it was for X amount of dollars, and the township, cost would be X amount of dollars. So the township would know what that is
In
at
the
the time
future.
of the application.
Before the grant application's turned in.
Yes.
and you're saying it's $90,000?
No.
The one that we already were
The first one
awarded.
was received
Oh.
was $90,000, and the township was made aware of that at the time of the grant application, of that first grant application.
You guys are saying that they can go ahead and proceed with that,
Right.
but before it goes in, if you guys are gonna know
How much
Yeah.
I
it's gonna
think she
cost.
just made that clear.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Nickel?
Obviously, she didn't,
Was it, who made the motion? Mary made the motion
I made
and
the
I
motion.
supported it.
I
Yeah.
made the motion, John seconded it.
I didn't get a chance, I had a question just, and it's slightly off topic, but if this were to go through and awarded, is there an idea how long it would take before they would, like, the process would continue to keep going in terms of wire on the ground running?
From what I understand, from reading through the information and reading through the first grant that was just awarded, this first grant is, slated to be completed by 2023.
I think it's a 3-year,
Yeah,
grant,
2020.
3-year period.
It would take
So-
roughly.
So I assume this would be,
Right, and
Well,
so
2
this
years, 'cause we're almost at
2.0 grant
2021.
will then kick off after that one. So the 2.0 grant before the grant and everything, so.
No, it was a curiosity of just when
Right.
people ask and say like, oh, hey, we get this, this grant, we're gonna have internet,
Oh, it would be
in-
amazing if we could have it
in a
six
month.
months, but.
but just some realistic, so some people.
But the reality is, it'll probably be another 2 years after this one, because they're gonna complete everyone who received this grant first, before starting on the second phase. So, but we'd like to be a part of that, we'd kinda like to, if possible, guide them and say, well, this is where the 1.0 grant, that was already done, so let's see if we can expand on that and try and, do as much as we can with one and expand it so that everybody. in the
Yeah, so they don't have to keep moving their equipment around, they can just keep running the line.
Right, and so, everyone who wants it will be
Sure.
able to get it.
There's a need for it, so,
Oh, there definitely is.
all right. Go ahead, Mayor.
Nickel?
Yes.
Getzinger?
Yes.
Swank, yes. Finley?
Yes.
Bitter?
Absolutely.
But I think also
Thank
5G
you.
is probably gonna help
Oh,
them
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
In the meantime, until they do get physical wire.
Local governing body resolution number 2021 for charitable gaming licenses for Armada Fast Pitch.
Yep. I received a call from Rob Weir last week indicating the need for our approval for the local governing resolution for gaming license, and I just had to ask him for approval of his status for the 501c3, and he brought that in to me, as well as the form that we need to fill out. It's called a local governing body resolution for charitable gaming licenses. And I also made a resolution for that. We haven't done this in like about 6 or 7 years, so.
Yeah, for the gaming licenses.
Right, but I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2020-21 as presented for Armada Fast Pitch.
Support.
So I will abstain from this since I am a coach, if it matters.
Yeah,
Just
but
so
you
No,
that-
it
don't,
doesn't.
you don't
No,
financially
well-
make any money on it.
No, I'm not, but I know
So
it's
then
not,
that's
okay.
the only
You don't
fee
have
that
to-
you need
No,
to.
you don't have to
If you
I just
find-
wanna make sure it's out there
No,
so
you're
that
good.
way,
You're good,
Mhm.
no.
Nope, you don't have to abstain, it's a fundraiser
Yeah.
for a
being a
baseball
coach,
game.
but I don't want it to interfere.
No, it's financial.
Okay,
Yeah, it's not like me working for the Lions, okay?
Nickel,
yes.
Finley,
Yes.
Swank, yes. Getzinger,
Yes.
Bitter.
Okay, can I go
Yep.
back?
Oh,
I want to ask you a question. When you're getting these, first you're doing the first one, and then you're doing the second grant for that you're talking about.
The first one was awarded,
Yes.
we just want to follow up and.
Yes, and then you've got your second one, and then you're saying 3 years possible or whatever. So when this comes in, what is the timeline of having to get that money from them and us having to pay our portion?
According to the first grant that was just awarded, Comcast is paying the majority of it, and I think it comes in at the end, so like in 2023. at
So
the
this
end
is
of
not,
this grant.
this is not something that we are going to be budgeting in next year's budget, is my question.
I would believe it would be 2025.
25?
For
20
the
for
other,
the
for
second
2.0.
one. For
so
2.0.
it's just-
But for the first one
one.
that you're getting,
The first one will be 2023
Right.
is when they are anticipating completing the first grant. that
so
would be
you
in the fall.
complete the first grant, the money comes in, and then we pay our portion, and that's when we budget it in '23. Does that mean the lines are in, or that's when we begin the lines?
That's when the first round, the first grant would be completed, that phase. They're calling for, the third quarter of 2023, so September, I'm guessing. So, I would think to work it into next year's budget, just so that it's there. I mean, just kind of,
Well, we can't do that, though.
well, just have it in the back of your head when you're working on the budget, but there's $90,000 in the next 2 years that you're gonna have to come up with.
All right.
I'm not saying, pull it out of your hat next week or in June.
No, but when you're looking at that kind of stuff, I mean, you're only looking 1 year, and then
Well,
the
we-
next year we go to the
Right,
That would
next.
be, I'm assuming what you're saying is it's a payment on completion.
I
Right,
think so.
so you know it's gonna be there in 2 years.
You could still
With
budget
the-
for it,
You
though.
can
You
still
can't
budget,
budget.
yeah.
You still budget, but just like you did with budget.
Right, I understand that.
And then if we were to get the 2.0 or Comcast agrees to, allow us to apply, then know that that amount, and whatever that'll be, and that'll be the application thing, would be another 2 years beyond that.
The money could also be set aside in a bond.
Yes.
Well, I don't think that would be necessary, because we have it.
Right, but I mean, you have it set aside somewhere where it's, you know,
Well, you can
Not
put it in
using
an
the
account.
general fund.
Yeah, you can put it in.
in a capital outlay.
All right, can we get back to the fast pitch? We've
I
got
thought
it.
we just
We've
did.
got it
We
taken
did
care
that.
of?
We're
We're
good.
all
Sorry,
done.
that one.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob.
Waste hauler bids. Our contract with Sterling runs out in January. It was a one-year bid. We've had several conversations with Roger over the course of this run, and the dumpsters are bringing in a whole different variety of refuse. It's not a waste hauler service, it's actually a free home roll-off service. And there's no way they can turn people away at the gate, because everybody shows up knowing that they're all roll-offs. We've had some people having a real hard time throwing their garbage in 30-foot haulers. I still think the township should consider going back to a compactor service, where people bring their garbage in and it gets compacted into a truck, and we don't have the dumpster sitting out there for 4 or 5 days until they can figure out how to logistically get them all moved back. It was not, even his guys kind of told him it was going to be a tough run when he put them in there, but the board really wants to consider whether it needs compactors out there. Wants to stay with open roll-offs, that's fine. I have to believe that Roger's not gonna be the same price. And or, you know, some type of a waste hauler service in the township at a, you know, whatever the monies we're spending now, break that out across a waste hauler and I mean, we're spending 76 grand, so can we hire a waste hauler to take care of the township? But then you end up with everybody with the larger items. It worked kind of nice before, only because we had the waste site, and then they had a large bin for steel and a large bin for household filled up over a couple of weeks. But there's anywhere between 7 and 10 dumpsters filled, you know, 30-yarders every week, every 2 weeks now. And it's everything from televisions to aluminum siding to couches. I mean, people pull their closed-in trailers there, and
Wow.
it takes them 20 minutes to a half hour to unload these trailers.
Were you turning them away? Were you out there turning them away?
No, he wasn't turning them away.
No, you.
No, Tim runs the transfer site there. He's the one that says what comes in and what doesn't come in. He works for the Sterling Sanitation.
Oh.
And like I said, if you started stopping every car that came in with a large item in the back, you'd have traffic all the way to the village. You can't sort them out. Everybody, because they're dumpsters, everybody's bringing.
There was always a large dumpster there, so I don't exactly understand what's changed, but if it is, I feel like this would be a good, I think as a board, maybe we've done workshops, like when we updated the manual. I don't know if there's any interest in the board just meeting at a special, you know, public meeting, workshop, not to vote on anything, to discuss all of our options on this.
Well, there's a single waste hauler. Ray Township went to a single waste hauler.
I think
because
that's a great idea. It's gonna
Yeah.
cost over 300,000.
I just don't think that tonight.
The single waste hauler is 300,000 for Ray Township,
No, for Armada.
for Armada.
I think it's a great idea. I
But
think we
Ray
really should
Township,
look into it.
each of them pays for it. The township doesn't pay for any of their services.
There's a lot of options on what we could do.
So they have a single waste
They
hauler,
have a single
but
waste hauler for
everybody
the
has to pay
township,
for
and
it.
everybody pays for their own, right?
See,
The
and
problem
I
you guys
just,
came
I don't
up with
think that's
too
a
is
good idea.
how do you tell another waste hauler he can't do business in Armada Township?
Well, it's very,
Well, it's
I
a
get
bid
calls
out.
all the time from realtors saying, how is garbage picked up there?
Right.
Because everyone is doing it. They're all doing it.
And there's 3 or 4 trucks that go through the village and the township every.
Right, that's what I mean, there's a lot of different haulers in the township, in
Right.
the village.
And many haulers are now doing where this is what they do.
Right.
I think it's something to look into, and I've been thinking that for a couple of years.
Well, you put it out for bid process just like you did here.
Yeah,
Just like, and I do have the bid package from Ray Township. Actually, Cpr Machine drafted it.
okay.
So
Well,
I
I've
could-
got a bid package
You do?
from up north.
Okay, All right. Well, Jim said we
You wanna
can.
send them all out? Or do you wanna sit down and talk about which
I
one?
think we need to send,
I
yeah.
think we need to talk about exactly what we're looking for and how that package would be set up.
I think Jim's gotta go, kind of pull it together, and, yourself, maybe collect some information and come back and present it.
Yeah, I know, Sarah, you had mentioned to me too that we had done a study, but not everybody in the township got one because some people are on escrow accounts as
Yeah.
opposed to,
Right,
getting a
that's what I
tax bill.
heard, and I don't know if that's fact or not, I just, but I remember a survey last year, but like I say, I don't know if everyone got it, or if, I know it went to tax bills, but I don't know if everyone got it. I think Jim's idea is a good idea to do a workshop, a non-voting workshop. There are a lot of communities around here that do single waste hauler, and each of the residents pays their own bill. And these communities also do, like for electronics and stuff, once every 3 months or 6 months or whatever, they do
the
an
electronic.
electronic,
Yeah.
thing, or a paper shredding event, or something like that, and that could cut down on all kinds of stuff
Well,
too.
the bank has a shredding day every year.
Do they?
A
Okay.
couple
Yeah,
of
so
them,
yeah, a couple of them, so that's not, I'm against putting a bill on the tax bill. I think that's, everyone complains their tax bill is so high.
It wouldn't
and
be on the
they-
tax bill though.
What?
It would not be on the tax bill.
What
She
we
was
are
saying
just
like
talking
you-
about is exactly what we just said.
I know Washington Township and Bruce Township, they do, they have single waste haulers, and it's not on a tax bill, the
Individual.
residents get a monthly
Well,
or
that's
quarterly
not,
bill.
that's not what I talked to with the person that I talked to that gave me the specs. They said they get, paid straight one check, and
When
that's
a
from the
cou-
township.
a couple
And the
years ago-
township is
I
required
know
to,
sometimes, I know it used to be like that where I used to live too, and then it went to a single waste hauler. And then you were, like, I would get a bill every quarter for,
but see,
However much.
that's what raises the price of it, because now they've gotta bill everybody.
well, I'm just saying, that's what I know some are doing, but I think a workshop idea, gather information and plan a workshop, a non-voting workshop.
Well, let's set a date.
All
I
right.
think that's a good idea,
That's
Jim.
enough discussion, so. Not November 15th.
Not November 15th? That's a Sunday. Let's see. The 18th is a Wednesday. Or the 30th is a Monday. Do you want to do November, early December?
Anytime before our next board meeting, it should be, so a couple
So
weeks.
18th, next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday, 18th at 7 PM?
Sounds great.
November. November 18th at 7 PM, okay. Special workshop.
Well, technically, I would still be there because I'm still here to
You
the
are.
20th,
That's
so
right.
You are.
let's
Yeah.
do it.
All right, sounds good. All right, so we'll set that November 18th at 7 PM. Okay.
Okay. So we'll table the waste hauler service contract until after the workshop.
Right.
Trustee Getzinger?
Well, Steve said he's got till the 20th, but trustee Nichol, I just do want to say thanks for the time you've spent on the board. I know you're very passionate here and dedicated, so I appreciate that. I do also want to welcome Sarah who will soon be coming onto the board. I had mentioned very briefly earlier, but when the tax bills go out, there will be a flyer in them regarding this email notification service. I did meet with the deputy clerk earlier this week, and she was able to send out just an email. It's kind of anybody who signs up for it gets a heads up of that there's a board meeting. So it's more of just a reminder for those who may be interested and consistently forget that there is a meeting till it's too late. This was kind of a good service. So I would encourage anybody, if you'd spread the word that is an option out there. It's just one mass email once a month. It's very simple. And that's it. Thank you.
Trustee Nichol?
First and foremost, if you're wondering why we're meeting here today on Thursday, that's because yesterday was a very special day. It was Veterans Day. So I want to thank the veterans that have given us this opportunity to be in this wonderful land, as well as for us to be up here and allow us to do what we do, whether you agree with it or you don't agree with it. It's been a very humbling 2 years on this board, and I was here a year prior to that when I had an ordinance issue that got me involved with the politics, and certainly have enjoyed it. And it's been an eye-opener, it really has. To sit on that other side over there and voice your opinion, as well as what you think is right or wrong, versus sitting on this side, is two totally different worlds. And I certainly hope that people get more involved in their township politics. It's very important to be involved with it, to not just let it set aside and say, well, it's my tax bill and I'll just pay it and let it go. Or that's not a big issue about what's going on down the street. You should be involved with your township. With that being said, you know, one of my key items that I feel very passionate about was the waste services. You know, we were spending well over $70,000, and this last year we netted almost $28,000 in savings, which I really think that was something that was very good for the township to be able to use for wherever it may needed to be used at for the taxpayers. I know coming into this I had some concerns and some dealings with the fire department, but I will tell you, since the 2 years have gone on, I have found a newfound interest for the fire department. I've been up there several times, speaking with them on personal notes, seeing what's going on there, and really admire what they have going on up there. A great group of guys and women, and look forward to seeing them be able to keep growing and protecting us here. To the board, thank you for your time, effort. There was times where it's very contentious, as well as then it was also very pleasing to be able to support and help everybody out here. And with one final note, I may have lost the election, which was okay. It was a learning experience. I'm young. I'm just going to take this note by saying I'm going to hit the pause button to be able to spend time with my family, with my children, and I'll be back very soon. You can count on that. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. Thank you.
Treasurer Fenner?
Last month, I brought up the conflict of interest between the supervisor's business and Blake business, and you said, well, go get the paperwork. So I did get the paperwork. I talked to Celeste Berry, who is the supervisor at the health department, and there has been 3 years since 2017. She said there's even more than that, of complaints where the supervisor's personal business and Blake's are commingled. And I think that gives a situation where you have a...
Where's the permit, the application permit for the function?
Well, I
specifically
have
talking
all
about
of the evaluation reports, and
those evaluations
and it says he
reports
stated the Blakes
have-
allowed him to work under their license.
Yes, they did.
And so what's happening here is that,
Where's the permit?
that's
where-
what she's saying, is you do not have a permit.
No, we have
He
permits.
said he is not hired for graduation parties or any kind of other activities like that.
You're
And
talking
yet,
about Blake's.
I'm talking about
Where's the food permit for Blake?
yours. She's not worried about Blake's. They have a legal one. It's yours that is not legal. And so what
I
happens
don't know,
there...
but she said I'm gaining money by Blake's and bringing my life into it.
Right, and so what happens is you put yourself in a compromising position as a board member, because as Blake's grow, your business gets to grow, because the paperwork shows that you are underneath their license.
No, I'm not under their license. I'm only under their license for cider day.
That's not true.
Where is the food permit?
She says you don't have one.
Where's the permit
It
for
says
cider
here, right
day?
here, a screenshot says that you give thanks to you for preparing the food for a catered meal at a wedding, blah, blah, blah. And it says we have written him different over and over
What does that have
again.
to do with Blake's and the conflict of interest?
Because you are using their license.
No, I'm not using their license.
It says here.
I use their license on a food permit for cider day. That's where you accused me
No.
of financial gain
This
by
is saying,
Blake's.
this is saying
None
that
of
you
that.
don't have any license. You are supposed to have a license to run your business. You don't have any license. As of Tuesday, you still did not have a health department license for your business.
I can cook chicken and take it to your house.
Not according to this.
You can make chili and bring it to mine.
No, not according to this. This says that you have been warned over and over again, you cannot do events.
And.
What it has to do with
and the
Blake's is
personal gain,
that,
The personal gain, get to that. You've accused
what it
me
has, what it
of
has to
making
do,
money- making
what
money
it
from
has to
Blake.
do is, you're using their license to run your business.
No, I don't.
That's what
That's a
this
lie.
says.
No, that was for cider dates, and there's a
Nope.
food permit signed by the Armada Lions.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. This says that you did her wedding, and then you did a, baby shower, catered her shower, and then you have
None of that was at
events,
Blake's.
that's right, that's the point.
What's that got to do with?
What does that have to do with me getting money from Blake's?
Because what happens is,
No, this is
You're-
kind of
is
fun,
supposed-
because she's really walking off a cliff here.
oh, no, that's not true.
Yes, it is.
No,
You
Stop.
accused me,
I don't have to stop. Pretend
no,
I'm Monica.
that's okay,
Pretend I'm
that-
Monica.
that's okay.
And
Oh,
I'll talk to
please.
you.
Robin, I can do this, because
the license that you are supposed to have, according to her, and she says she's chased you down for multiple years. You are supposed to be having a license to do your business.
That sounds.
And so, since you don't have a license, you are covered under the Blake's light. Let's
no,
say that
that's
you
not,
are,
that's not true.
that's what it says. That's what it
not-
says
but
right here.
That's not true.
That's what you said.
That sounds
It's not true.
personal.
So, okay, so these people are lying.
Well, I don't use a Blake's kitchen.
Oh, that's exactly what it says here too. The Blake's Kitchen stated that the Blakes allowed him to work under their license.
For cider dates, where's the food
Nope,
permit?
it says for all of
Where
it.
is the food permit?
That's what they're asking you for.
No, you accused me of conflict of interest because I'm making money from Blake's. Not true. I make money for the Lions because the food permit is pulled by the Lions.
No, not here. You're making money doing showers and all kinds of other events.
No,
That's what it says. And that's what she said. She says they have been trying to shut you down because you are,
simply not true.
that's what it says.
That's fine.
Well, that's what it says. That's what the health department says. And so what happens is it puts you in a predicament of going, well, we're gonna help Blake's out as much as possible because now look at what we got here. And that's a problem. That is a huge problem.
That's a reach.
You've put the township in. Okay, so let's say you go out and do your catering thing and somebody gets hurt. They're gonna come back to the health department. The health department is saying, well, the only license I see right here because they gave your approval
It's
is
not
the
a-
Blake's.
The license is signed by the Armada Lions.
That's
and it's
not
for
for
cider
the,
days.
that's not it. This
That's
is
exactly what it is.
No, it isn't.
Because
According-
we were approving cider days for
Nope.
this year when you accused me of personal gain.
I'm talking about your licensing underneath Blake's.
What I do in
That's
my
what
life
this-
has got nothing to do with Blake's.
It most certainly
No,
does.
it doesn't.
It does too, because you are the one who gets to approve them to expand.
No, I don't get to approve them to expand.
Right, it's
What
never
they
been
do as a
here.
business, I get permission to approve anybody to expand in this township. The board does it as a group.
Oh, we would think so,
Did I
but of
get
course,
four-
we've
did we
had
get-
lots of
did we
meetings
get
where there was
one-
no group at all.
Did we get one yes and 4 no's?
Oh, okay.
All right,
Did we?
shut it down. This is a waste of my time.
Okay, you can
A
leave
waste of my
anytime.
time. No.
Clerk Swiacki.
You're not personal. You're
Trustee
distracted.
Nickel? I'd
Oh,
like to
I
thank
don't
you.
think so. And you
enjoyed
know I
working
hit it
with you
right
the
on the
last couple
head.
years.
We moved
Oh,
on.
And I enjoy your time and
absolutely.
We moved
devotion as
on.
a trustee and a planning commission liaison.
I appreciate it.
And also, election.
Bingo.
We have 4,334 registered voters, and out of that, 3,506 voted, which is 80.9%.
Wow. Yeah, they showed up
It
at the polls.
was a very busy day.
Any deceased?
One, I caught it. I did,
It's a fair question to
Yeah, I tell you what,
I
they're
did.
coming through.
I did.
Good job, Mary.
And just because I want to ask, somebody had called and said that they had called and their vote wasn't counted, and I referred them to call you.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
No, I read the papers, I look on the sign, and, oh, yeah,
Yeah, right.
yep, no, I did catch one.
All set?
I'll make one last motion.
Oh. No, I'd like to thank Steve for choosing to run against me. I don't think any elected official in any capacity should run unopposed. I do believe you have to run on your merits, and I do believe the voters need to speak as to the direction they want to go. Steve, you've been very passionate, very hardworking, devoted trustee. None of us are perfect in any way, but I do respect your passion for your beliefs. Thank you. So, thank you for your service. I'd like to welcome Sarah Murray to the board. And again, your diligence in running for office is not easy, but definitely a nice thing. So, and if I'm not mistaken, Mary said she can swear us all in tonight, so we don't.
So you should swear us
Yes, I did. I
Yeah.
did say that.
Well, she's already done that under her breath. You're just gonna hear it this time. So, but I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:25.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.